Algorithms are the foundation of the modern machine era. These intangible bits of code have brought us social media feeds and search engines, and they are as much a part of our contemporary infrastructure as roads, houses, and industries. Hannah Fry's Hello World explores the huge number of algorithms on which we increasingly, but possibly unintentionally, depend. Fry looks at all the different fields in which algorithms have already made a big impact. Hello World pays careful attention to their claims, investigates their unacknowledged power, and addresses the unsolved concerns they pose. It's up to humans to make sure they are a positive force in our present and future. A world of algorithms. Algorithm is a rather vague term. The dictionary definition is a step-by-step procedure for solving a problem or accomplishing some end, especially by a computer. To put it another way, an algorithm is a set of step-by-step instructions for doing a certain job. A cake recipe is an algorithm if we use this wide definition. Any list of steps needed to complete a specific end goal can be considered an algorithm, but the word is not really used that way. Algorithms tend to refer to a more specific element, a list of steps that are, however, mathematical in nature. Algorithms use mathematical sequences and, with the help of mathematical reasoning, turn them into digital codes for computers. These algorithms take data inputs from real-world cases and are asked to treat this data for a specific goal. They have turned the study of computer-related objects into a science called computer science, and modern-day advancements and mechanical achievements can be credited to algorithms. Algorithms can be divided into four main categories. First is prioritization, which is making an ordered list. For example, Google searches and Netflix movie recommendations all rely on mathematical ordering techniques that sort through a large number of choices. Second is classification, which is choosing a category. These algorithms, beloved by marketers, operate invisibly to determine whether or not you fit the profile of someone who could be interested in a product. For example, you start seeing ads for pregnancy tests when the algorithm figures out you're a newlywed, perhaps based on your recent searches. Third is association, which is finding links. Recognizing and noting connections between entities is the essence of association. Association is at the heart of dating algorithms like those used by Occupid. They sift through user profiles in search of connections and then generate pairing recommendations. Fourth is filtering, which is isolating what's important. In order to isolate the relevant data and discard the rest, algorithms often perform data reduction. Facebook and Twitter allow you to create a customized feed based on the news items that are most relevant to your interests. Most algorithms are designed to do more than one of these tasks. Their approaches can be divided into two categories. Rules-based algorithms are the first category. They are easy to follow because they are written by people. These algorithms may be thought of as adhering to the logic of food recipes. They follow specific steps to complete their objectives. These algorithms are not simple, however, and complex programs can be built using them. The second category consists of machine learning algorithms, which fall under the spectrum of artificial intelligence. You supply the machine information, a desired outcome, and confirmation that it is on the correct path. Then step aside and let it figure out how to get there on its own. There are benefits and drawbacks to both categories. A rule-based algorithm is straightforward to understand since it follows human-created guidelines. Theoretically, anybody can crack one open and understand the internal logic. However, this positive comes with a price. Rule-based algorithms can only solve situations for which people have the knowledge to provide detailed guidelines. In contrast, machine learning algorithms have shown remarkable effectiveness in solving situations for which it is impossible to create a set of instructions. They are able to translate across languages, detect visual data, and analyze spoken languages. The problem with letting a computer work out a solution is that its path to the answer may not be intuitive to a person. Even the most brilliant programmers in existence may not be able to decipher the inner workings of such algorithms. Moral issues. This leads to some moral dilemmas concerning power. When it comes to the decisions made by algorithms, who takes the credit or the blame? The human who worked on it or the algorithm itself? Can algorithms be more biased than humans when it comes to certain matters? Are there scenarios where human judgment should overrule an algorithm's? Right now, these questions are up for debate, and answers depend on each case. Algorithms will never have the same feelings of responsibility that humans do when making a choice. The involvement of human beings is essential in making decisions. The only foolproof approach to prevent making errors in critical circumstances is to have a human supervisor with veto power assess the decisions of an AI in critical circumstances, like a pilot deciding to override the computer flying a plane in case of an emergency. Understanding the inner workings of an algorithm is the only objective means of determining its reliability. We need to train ourselves to approach algorithms with greater objectivity. It's crucial that we examine our own biases and prejudices. We must learn to be more objective when it comes to algorithms. We must acknowledge our own flaws and question our gut reactions towards them. Algorithms should also be studied more closely to decide if they really produce the results they claim to offer. Data vampires. Data brokers collect and sell your anonymous browsing data, which can be used to deliver targeted ads. The law in many countries does not protect you from this. Palantir, Axiom, CoreLogic, Datalogix, and Ebiro are examples of data brokers. One of the earliest examples of data collection is Tesco in 1993, when the company created a loyalty card that would give discounts to consumers while tracking their purchasing habits and sending targeted coupons as a result. This practice was adopted by many supermarkets and sometimes led to bad results. For example, in 2022, a father discovered his teen daughter was pregnant before she could tell him, because Target had sent her baby product ads based on an algorithm that determines customers' likelihood to be pregnant. Today's data brokers know a lot more than they should about us. It's common for them to be able to discern your name, age, religion, gender, sexual orientation, net worth, political inclination, disabilities, family situation, and many other more specific details. Businesses can use this data to prey on people, for example, advertising gambling websites to gambling addicts. This has evolved into micro-targeting, in which every person is targeted in a specific way based on a combination of their interests and characteristics. The future seems bright since rules will soon be put in place. In the European Union, as of May 25, 2018, a new law known as the General Data Protection Regulation went into effect that renders most of what data brokers do unlawful. In principle, they are prohibited from storing your information for no apparent reason and without your approval. Furthermore, they can't use the data collected with your permission for objectives other than the ones they were collected for. That doesn't mean these methods will disappear entirely, however. For instance, we may unwittingly provide our agreement and consent while browsing online, since we rarely look closely at terms and conditions. Moreover, since data transmission and analysis is mostly not publicly performed, spotting illicit acts and enforcing legislation remains challenging. Exactly how this develops is still up in the air. True justice. One field where algorithms are a big and important conversation is the judicial system. The legal system is self-aware enough to recognize its flaws and not claim perfection. There is no possibility for a judge to be fully accurate when determining a sentence. Numerous studies have been conducted on this. In one study, judges were given cases, some of which were the same case with different names, and they commonly gave different sentences to the same cases. This is where algorithms come in. Innocence or guilt cannot be determined by algorithms. They are unable to analyze the merits of the prosecution's and defense's cases, evaluate evidence, or determine whether or not the defendant feels genuine regret. They will not take over the judicial system anytime soon. However, algorithms may utilize information about specific people to determine the likelihood that they would commit another crime in the future. And because many courts base their rulings on the possibility of repeat offense, these algorithms can be quite useful. A group of researchers tested an algorithm against the decisions of human judges in 2017. The algorithm was designed to predict whether or not defendants would go on to violate the terms of their bail. The judges and the algorithm did not agree on their predictions, as many of the defendants flagged by the algorithm as high risk were treated by the judges as low risk, and vice versa. When compared to human judges, the algorithm was vastly superior. The algorithm can help reduce the number of people who are awaiting trial and are sent to prison by 41.8% while maintaining the same level of crime. Naturally, no algorithm can foresee a person's actions with full accuracy. Due to the chaotic, illogical, and impulsive nature of the human mind, it is impossible to make a precise prediction of human behavior. Also, algorithms are based on reality, and reality is biased, so algorithms cannot be completely unbiased. Unfortunately, some studies found that algorithms tend to be biased against black people, just like the justice system is. However, they are an improvement upon the current judicial system, and they can be modified to eliminate this bias. We must realize that algorithms cannot overhaul the whole judicial system, but they may help reduce instances of prejudice and random mistakes. Algorithms in medicine. Modern medical theory and practice rely heavily on the ability to recognize trends in large datasets. Determining if a bone is broken, if a headache is caused by a serious condition, or even if an antibiotic should be prescribed, all depend on skills of recognition, categorization, and prediction. Algorithms excel at these skills. Naturally, there are many facets to medical practice that cannot be replicated by a computer program, such as empathy or the act of offering psychological, social, and financial support to patients. However, algorithms may be helpful in certain medical contexts, particularly in specialties such as pathology, where recognizing medical patterns, classifying them, and predicting certain outcomes or causes are essential. A cancer diagnosis is more than a simple yes or no. There is a spectrum. Benign samples, which include only perfectly normal cells, are located on the far end of the spectrum. The most malignant tumors, such as invading carcinomas, are at the opposite extreme. Doctors can easily identify either extreme. However, there are a number of murkier subcategories between these extremes. There may be a cluster of odd cells in your test, but they may not warrant too much alarm. You may have precancerous tumors that could or could not develop into a full-blown malignancy. This is where human error is most common, and algorithms can make a real difference when it comes to diagnosing cancer. Let's look at breast cancer specifically. There are two main goals to consider when selecting a breast cancer detection algorithm. First, it must be sufficiently sensitive to recognize anomalies prevalent in all breasts with tumors without announcing skip pixels as safe. Second, it needs to detect abnormal tissue, but not yield false positives in otherwise healthy breasts. The problem is that adjusting an algorithm usually requires choosing between specificity or sensitivity. Often, when one is improved, the other suffers. Humans excel at specificity, but may miss some abnormal cells due to a lack of sensitivity. On the other hand, algorithms excel at sensitivity, but tend to produce more false positives. This is where collaboration between algorithms and humans is most effective, playing to each other's strength. Algorithms make positive diagnoses, and humans review them to ensure there are no false positives. Self-driving cars. Driverless cars have been a human ambition for a long time. It's finally becoming more of a reality, yet there are many challenges. Mainly, the problem is that cameras cannot provide distance or scale information to cars. The AI doesn't see in 3D the way human drivers can. Some manufacturers have introduced lasers, but they're not good at detecting texture and color or long distances. However, the strengths of lasers, cameras, GPS, and radar can be combined into a seamless algorithm that can accurately drive a car. Keep in mind, though, that every single measurement the car makes, such as radar readings, inertia, wheel revolution, and pitch, will be imperfect. Additionally, several environmental factors exacerbate the problem. Rain interferes with lasers, bright sunshine may impair cameras, and long, rough rides impact accelerometers negatively. The obvious answer is to combine algorithmic analysis with human judgment. The machine's abilities should supplement those of humans. That is why we are seeing more and more cars with self-driving options that can seamlessly transition to human driver mode in case there's need for intervention. Algorithms and crime. Some algorithms can help fight crime, for example, through geoprofiling. These algorithms take into account several factors in order to predict where a serial criminal might live. We know that most people commit crimes locally, and serious crimes are often committed within close distance to the criminal's residence. Distance decay is a criminological pattern in which the likelihood of locating a perpetrator's residence decreases as investigators move further away from the scene of a crime. And buffer zone is a geographical pattern in which serial criminals are less likely to target victims who reside in close proximity. Geoprofiling algorithms use these key patterns, distance decay and buffer zone, to come up with a range of locations where the criminal plausibly could live. This helps the police know which suspects to focus on and go after leads with higher probabilities. Predictive policing, or PredPol, is one of the most known algorithms when it comes to crimes. It uses geography to figure out where crimes are most likely to happen before they do, down to the exact streets. It can only forecast the danger of future occurrences, not the actual happenings. When tested against skilled human crime analysts in Los Angeles, it correctly predicted more than twice the amount of crimes than the humans could. Where things get tricky is that Pridpal plays a role in reinforcing the bias in the system. Since crimes happen in poorer areas, it will keep sending police to these areas, and the police will be disproportionately arresting people whose crimes are poverty-related, such as low-level drug use or shoplifting. In America, these poorer areas can also be linked to disproportionately disadvantaged minorities. In a way, these algorithms start to fulfill their own prophecies. This is one of many reasons why we need impartial experts and a regulatory authority to guarantee that the benefit from an algorithm exceeds the damage. AI and art. In recent times, a conversation has begun surrounding whether or not algorithms and AI can create art. Some algorithms can now create music in the style of certain composers after being taught their entire works. This has sparked anger, with some considering AI music as an insult to real music and art because it is simply imitation. However, others disagree, arguing that music composed by humans is also mostly imitation of what they've heard before, even if they're not aware. Yet, at the end of the day, the consensus seems to be that AI cannot create real art. After all, according to iconic author Leo Tolstoy, art is an expression of feeling, of being human, and this is something a machine, program, or algorithm will never replicate. Algorithms can be used for a multitude of purposes related to art. For example, some Hollywood studios have conducted research to try to create algorithms that can predict what movies will be big box office successes. In a similar vein, some experiments were conducted by music labels to have an algorithm predict what songs will be big hits. However, such experiments have not been very fruitful. AI has a very hard time predicting popularity and quality when it comes to art, which isn't surprising because art is very subjective. Yet, where algorithms can come in handy here is by using this subjectivity to figure out what a specific individual or group of individuals may find interesting, good, or high quality. Such algorithms are based on similarity. They are the algorithms that recommend your YouTube videos or Spotify songs by taking into account what you've seen or heard in the past and liked. What we need to do. Algorithms have had a profound positive impact, but we must be careful not to abuse their power. They can help us solve many problems, but they also leave us with issues of fairness that cut to the core of who we are as humans. Humans must never see machines as masters, but instead question their motives, scrutinize their decisions, and hold them accountable.